the internet was a buzz with LeBron James, Maverick Carter, his business partner, and Nikola Jokic's agent on a boat sipping wine somewhere, and everybody got to thinking, wait a minute, does this mean that LeBron, who's got a year left on his contract, is going to go play with Nikola Jokic in Denver, next year? I don't think that's the case. It's front office sports, those people over there. And my friend Nick Wright, who's very close with LeBron and his people, mentioned that conversation was about an international basketball league, almost similar to LIV Golf with the Saudis and their money. I don't think this is going to be Saudi money, but just an alternative basketball league. I believe it's going to be, they're planning on it being 6 men's teams, 6 women's teams, full-time responsibility for players, which means you cannot play in the NBA and play in this international basketball league. Players can get equity, and of course, it's going to be backed by a lot of global investments, which is why Maverick was there and Jokic's agent was there. And LeBron, we always know that he has his hands in a bunch of different investments. Do you see this as a, let's just say, leverage ploy for a guy like LeBron, because we know LeBron wants to get in on NBA expansion and the NBA ownership? Or is this a viable alternative, even with all the money the NBA has coming in, a viable alternative to poach real-time NBA talent?
Yeah, I think more so the former, Vince, because we know he wants to own a team. They've been vocal about that. They haven't been operating in the shadows. They've been very public with that. And so if that's the goal, then the other league, funding this other league, getting involved in this other league doesn't make a lot of sense unless you're trying to tamp down what you might have to pay to get in to the NBA and using this as kind of something to say, hey, Adam Silver, we got the guys together, we have the money together, we could do this. You need to figure something out for us on the other end. So maybe it's that. Because, yeah, LeBron obviously wants to own a team, but then you look at valuations and the sales of these teams and Celtics and Lakers, and I can only imagine how high that number is to get into Seattle or get into Vegas, expanding into these new cities. It's going to be an astronomical figure. So LeBron, part of, I believe, Fenway Sports Group, would have to put together a significant amount of money to get in. Maybe that's the factor here that is kind of behind the scenes that we're not really thinking about reporting on, but maybe that's what's there ultimately.
Look, I think it's important for people to remember, before Michael Jordan got into the Charlotte Bobcats, the then Charlotte Bobcats, he was part of a group that I believe was trying to get into the Milwaukee Bucks. Like years before that, he was a party ownership group with the Washington Wizards, and then he came down and played, and he thought he was coming back up and everything else with Abe Pollin and had other plans. But it took Michael Jordan a long time to get into an NBA team, and he wound up getting into the Charlotte Hornets. Now, granted, that was closer to his hometown in Wilmington and everything else, but the point of that, I can step off the floor and generate the capital that's needed and walk right into the boardroom with all these billionaires. I don't think it's going to be that easy for LeBron James on the back end of his basketball career. And as long as he's played, he's not turning down money, I just don't see a smooth opening, I would say, Ian, because everything that we've heard from Adam Silver is, hold on, let's pump the brakes on expansion a little bit. I don't get the sense that the teams have the appetite to add 2 more into what we just mentioned earlier about the TV deals coming in. You don't want to go from splitting that from 30 to 32. It's a fascinating thing. And also, to your point about this, International Basketball League, remember the NBA has said their focus is going to be international and putting the basketball league internationally there, because the international basketball leagues, to their belief, are not run well and are not run as profitably as they should be. Could this be a battle of LeBron versus the NBA in the first one to get overseas and put their mark overseas? I don't know if I'm betting against the machine of the NBA.
Yeah, I would be hard to bet against the league if they were unified, the owners were unified in sending the resources overseas in a way that you'd need to establish something. I also think those are the untapped markets. Domestically, there's
Yes.
always fan interest, and there's a loyal NBA fan that you're catering to, but untapped interest overseas in these markets where you're up at 3 a.m. to watch games of your favorite player. I think that's part of the thinking as well. And so, to me, like whatever happens with expansion, it's going to be very expensive to get involved there. I just wonder if a team becomes available, like you were talking about Michael Jordan's situation, if another team becomes available and it's not as expensive, would LeBron jump at that? Like the Cavs, I know a piece of them, I believe, are for sale. But would Dan Gilbert, put up the whole thing at some point? It's interesting to me, at least, just to think about other situations where LeBron could jump in, and it's not an astronomical figure. It's a more reasonable figure in the scale of team sales. And so, yeah, we'll see how it plays out. But I do think the live-esque league over there is more of a leverage play than anything else.
Like, look, and you said it when we were just prepping around. What could the Cleveland Cavaliers go for? Like, that arena is I'm gonna say reasonably new, but it's not 30 years old or anything. It's downtown. It's right in the center of I can't think of the name of the field. It used to be called Jacobs Field. I can't remember the name. There we go. Progress. That's how old of a baseball fan I was. Like, I think of all the old baseball ballparks. I can't think of the new ballparks anymore. You're right near Progressive Field. Dan Gilbert has his casino right down right. You can almost walk to the casino from the arena without really having to go outdoors. Maybe you're walking half a block. So there's a lot of synergy there. What would the Cavs go for if the Lakers went for 10 and the Celtics went for 6? Can LeBron scrounge up? Would that go for $2 billion, $3 billion? Like, I'm no financial analyst or anything like that, but just spitballing around. But could he get Dan Gilbert to come off of that franchise for LeBron to be the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers?
I mean, yeah, I think you're looking at a number just based on the other sales. 4, 5, 4, or in that neighborhood. And I don't know the figure that Dan Gilbert put in initially, but I would imagine that's a sizable return on investment.
You don't have to agree, but you have to click subscribe. Debate lives here. Yahoo Sports is where the conversation starts. Bring your takes to the comments.